Soul Simmers, welcome to the Builders Bootcamp, your ultimate training ground for learning how to build in The Sims. Whether you're a beginner or someone who's looking to level up their skills, this series will take you from the beginner tips to the pro level builds. This is the 2025 updated edition of the series that I did in 2022, since we've had quite a couple of build updates in The Sims, and it will cover everything that you need to know to create your dream builds in the game. So grab your blueprints and let's get to building. In episode number 9 of the Builders Bootcamp, we are gonna dive into pools, fountains, and ponds. So let's actually hop into the game so I can show you all the water fun. So we are back with our beautiful and now landscape build that we created in the previous episode. If you've missed that episode, I would suggest going back and specifically watching the part about train manipulation, because you're gonna need that in today's episode. These Sims now have a beautiful backyard, and what is a backyard without a nice pool, or maybe a pond, or maybe a fountain? So let's actually dive into all three options, and especially what makes them different from each other and when you will be using which one. So the first section is going to be pools and fountains. These are combined in one section of the build menu, and you can find them over here by basically clicking on the icon that looks like a pool. From here, you have 4 options that you can use. You have the pool section, the pool trim section, the fountains, and the fountain trim section. For now, I'm gonna skip the trims. I'll get to that in the end of the video, but I'm just gonna focus on the difference between pools and fountains. So if you get the pool tool, it basically works the same as the wall tool. So if you know how to build walls, you know how to make pools. It is really that simple. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab the pool tool, and you're basically just gonna click and drag to how big of a pool you want to create. You can also use the second one where you can go like this, exactly the same as the wall tool. And then we have some pre-made pool rooms, which are again just the same as building a house. Once you have a pool, your Sims will actually be able to swim in it. Unfortunately, Sims got a bit smarter over the past couple of decades, and your Sims can now go in and out the pool without needing a ladder. So just so you know, this would be a functional pool, and you don't need to do anything else for your Sims to actually be able to take a dip. To explain you the difference between fountains and pools, the easiest for me is to just put a fountain next to it and show you. So now that we have a fountain and a pool next to each other, I will go to the basement level of this build, and you can very easily see the difference. As you can see, a pool is an entire room that goes for an entire floor. This means that your Sim will be able to swim in it. A fountain is basically a very undeep pool, and your Sim won't be able to swim in it. So this is just a water feature, this is a functional feature. That is the main differences between pools and fountains. So I would suggest, if you are actually trying to build like water decoration, make sure to use the fountains and not the pools, because if you have a pool, your Sim will go swim in it all the time if you have autonomy turned on. So if you want to make a pretty water feature that your Sim isn't tempted to go take a shower in or bath in, because your Sims think that going into the pool gets their hygiene up, use the fountain one, not the pool one. It's gonna help your Sims save time. Now that you know the difference between the pool and the fountain, let's add a third one to the mix, and that is a pond. A pond is made by going into the train tool, going into the train manipulation, selecting the lower train option. We're gonna go very soft and very slow and the round one, so that we can just create a very nice and soft looking pond. We want it to stay natural. There we go. So as soon as you have a hole in the floor, as you can see, the fence moves with it as well, you're gonna go into that water tool. That's the one that we skipped in the previous video because I wanted to make sure to include it into this video. And with the water tool, you have a couple of options. You can raise the water, lower the water, fill the water to height, or remove the water altogether. You can even show the water depth map. And if you do that, it will actually show you a specific grid just for water. So let's turn that on so I can show you what happens. We're gonna start with raising the water, and we're just gonna go into this pit and start clicking, and it will just start filling it. This is maybe a bit too much, like on the edges that looks a bit silly, so let's go one down. That looks a little bit more natural. I would suggest that before you start filling it with water, smoothen it out a little bit. That will help a lot in like making your pond look a bit more smooth and not as ridiculous as mine currently looks. But as soon as you have that covered, you can basically fill it with water, and then this works. You can also fill it to height if you want it to. So this way you can basically select the height of the water level that you want to fill it to. So if I now click, it will actually go over the edges. So yes, your water can actually go everywhere, but that way you can customize where you want to fill the water level to. So let's actually go lower and only fill that little bit of the hole if you want it to. Then something that is very random but fun to know is that you can actually put water in rooms. This does doesn't always work. It glitches out a little bit, but it does work from time to time. And yes, there will be water. Like when your sim is playing here, there will be water. It is very silly. Like you see, I can only add it to 1. Maybe I can raise it with this and then like go a lot higher. Okay, so one thing that doesn't work is actually having windows. Like I can add a window, but I cannot add a window underneath the water line. But you could technically get really creative with this and just have like a floor that has water in it. Here you can see it a bit more. I don't know where you would use this for, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys know that you can technically fill the indoors of a build as well. Just for shits and giggles, I suggest that you give it a try at some point. But now you know the 3 different ways to create a water feature: a pool, a fountain, and a pond. I just checked. For me, the water map actually doesn't do anything. It used to change the color of the water. Like you could see a gradient if we went deeper, but for me it doesn't work, and I don't know if that's a glitch or not. But I just tried to create a really ugly looking super deep pond to show you. So please enjoy this absolutely ruined build because of it. I'll show you what it looks like without any water. Like that, it goes all the way down there. It's not pretty, and I tried to just create a water map for you guys, but I don't think that worked. Oh, now it sort of works. So you'll have the very shallow water, and then you'll have the deeper water. I don't think that's entirely doing what it's supposed to do right now, but hey, at least you get the idea behind the water map, or at least I hope you do. But yeah, for me it doesn't work perfectly, so it's really hard to show you right now. But just know that that's about how it works. And let's actually remove that water everywhere so that we don't get stuck with that. And let's make sure that we flatten the lot again. Now that we've removed all of the ridiculousness, let me actually make a pond that isn't super ugly so that I can still show you how to decorate it properly. So we now have a cute pond, a nice fountain, and a nice pool. There are a couple of things that you can do to make these look even better, because let's be real, this doesn't look the most fantastic. The first thing is, if you're going to go into the pools and fountains, is you're going to go to that trim category. So there are different trims for pools and there are different trims for fountains. The pool trim will basically just put a trim around the pool that looks very nice. We used to only have these couple of trims for like years and years and years. Actually, with recent additions, we've gotten more pool trims, which I think everyone has been super duper stoked about. The one from the base game is just really thin, but I actually really like this pool trim that came with Love Struck, because I just feel like it's a very realistic pool trim. Then for the fountain trims, we actually have 4 options, 3 in the base game and 1 with Spade. And these are very simple. They all also have sort of this more like ledge that goes up and not out compared to the pool trim. And yeah, my personal favorite is actually using this one in white. I always think that looks very pretty around the fountain, but that is the way that you can line your pools and your fountains. For lining your pond, I would highly suggest using things like landscaping. So things like these shrubs that we've already used around the house. So let me quickly get one. This yellow plant. Kind of going in and just using that to line your pond is gonna actually make it feel like a natural feature. This might again require a little bit of practice, just like any landscaping, but just experiment with what works and what doesn't work here. And also know that you don't have to decorate the entire edge of the pond, because in reality, very often a pond doesn't have plants growing on all edges. So now that you know how to line all of them, there are more levels of decoration that you can go for. It is right next, or like kind of in between the terrain tools and the outdoor plants, you have outdoor water decor. If you click that, the first category actually allows you to change the type and color of the water. So the amount of things that you will see here are very dependent on how many expansion packs you have. As you can see, I have all the packs, so that will give me a lot more water. But these water types can just basically change the type or the color of the water that you're seeing, and it works on every single one of them. So if you want to have a house where the pool looks like it was absolutely completely abandoned, you can actually put some leaves in the pool, or you can put some moss in the pool, or you can put very green pool water if you wanted to, although that is supposed to be pond water, of course. Good to know is that specifically the 2 ones from Jungle Adventure have special effects on your Sims. So if they are swimming in the hot spring one, your Sims will actually not get cold in winter. So now that you know how to decorate your water, let's move on to the pond objects. Pond objects are supposed to go in a pond, as the name suggests. And these are things that are all like a little bit more natural looking, like pond plants or like a little fishing sign or some lily pads, stuff like that. You can get pretty creative with this. Just know that all of these items also work on your pool. So if you wanted to, you could also put this log in your pool and your Sims will still be able to swim in it. So you can cross-use them. However, the section of pond objects will primarily contain things that you are supposed to put in your ponds. Then we have fountain decorations, and this contains all the water emitters. And the silly thing is that if you put it in here, you won't be able to see how the water emitter actually looks. So I would recommend actually reading what it does. So the jet water emitter, then you also have a jet water emitter medium and large. This basically literally just like how big the water emitter will be, like how big will the water spray be. So is it like small, bigger, or like I'm hoping this makes sense. I also feel like I'm lacking the right language here to properly explain, but just know that you can only see their function in gameplay. So sometimes it's useful to get a testing sim in here when you're decorating fountains to just switch between build mode and gameplay mode so you can actually see what the water emitters look like. You will also see that there is a little bit of a repetition, so the large lily pad actually also shows up in this category. So sometimes you're gonna see things in here that you also saw into the pond objects and vice versa. Here you will find a lot more though, because the game thinks that you need to decorate your fountains a lot more than your ponds apparently. And there are more things like decoration and stuff that you can use around it as well. I would highly recommend just scroll around in this and see what they all have, because it's super fun to discover all these neat little decoration items. And it's also very fun if you have more packs, because then you'll have even more fountain decorations. Then there is one called pool objects, which again, you will see a big overlap with things that you already saw into the fountain decorations, but this is where you can find things like floaties and the ladders and the jumping thingy. I keep forgetting. Also, this is weird. The thing that your Sims can jump off of, it's literally called Mr. Jumpy Jump. I don't know. Is it just a jump and splash? I only know the Dutch word for this, which is duikplank. Although duikplank is technically diving board, I know the word for that. I don't know what this is called. But the thing that your Sims can jump off of, basically, that is also in here. So there's also some functional items. I can also recommend putting lights in your pool, specifically at night. It will just make it easier to play with your pools in-game. And then there's another thing, if we're talking about lights and things that you can add on the wall, apart from being able to make sure that your pool is well lit, this pool is technically just a room, so you could go into the wall patterns and change the wallpaper and the flooring of your pool. If you wanted to, you could make a pool with carpet. I don't know why you would want that, but in The Sims, you can. So all the power to you if you want to make a carpeted pool and create an absolutely cursed build, go for it. So now that you know how to do all of that, there is one final category when it comes to water effects, and this is called the pond effects, but I know that it actually works outside of ponds as well. And the best thing for this is all of these little images that you see here with like the blue background, in gameplay they will come to life. So if you place them like this, it might look a little bit silly and you might wonder to yourself, okay, well, I don't think I want to use this because this doesn't look super pretty. Also, you'll notice that if the object is too big for the entire pond itself, it will start to float. So make sure that you take into account the footprint of this item. So I think I can add the swan into the pool, but I cannot add it into the pond right now. Then my pond would have to be bigger. But if you go into gameplay right now, you will actually see dragonflies flying above the pond, and you will see a swan swimming in your pool. These gameplay effects are super cool if you want to create like more like builds that are truly alive, that really give you that sense of it being natural and real. Something that I also really like is if I'm creating a bit more mystical builds is actually going into my landscaping and hiding these fireflies into the landscaping. As soon as it's night, these fireflies will come out and it looks like there's fireflies floating above all of your flowers. This is amazing, again, like I said, for bringing your builds to life, and it is just so much fun when you're landscaping and decorating to add that element of just fishies or ducks or anything to it. And if you want to get a little bit silly, there is even an alligator. I think that covers everything that you would need to know about pools, ponds, and fountains in The Sims 4. As always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to drop something in the comments down below and I will do my best to help you out. And of course, if you learned something brand new from this video, I always love to hear what you guys take away from these episodes, so feel free to let me know in the comments as well. If you liked this episode and it was helpful to you, please toss it a cheeky like, as it does really help the video get to more people, potentially helping other people discover the Builders Bootcamp. And if you're not subscribed to my channel yet, please make sure to do so that you won't miss any of my Sims videos, including the next episode of the Builders Bootcamp, which already will be episode number 10. And that is actually when we're moving to the inside of the build and we are gonna get started on floor plans. I hope to see you then. And with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you on the next one. Bye everyone!